Fantasy is not just a modern innovation. Magical and supernatural motifs have appeared in literature since the dawn of time. Has magic always served the same purpose in literature? How has the approach to fantastic elements changed over the centuries? From myths and legends through romanticism and magical realism to contemporary fantasy, we will examine how magic and the extraordinary have shaped worlds and what role they have played. Are stories about magic merely escapism, or are they a tool that help us interpret reality for centuries? The earliest known literary texts are filled with supernatural themes. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest recorded works, features gods, spirits, and fantastic creatures. Were those stories seen as a mere fairy tale, or were they ways to understand the world? Likewise, Greek and Norse mythology is rich with magical interventions and miraculous occurrences. Are those the earliest forms of fantasy? Do myths serve the same role as later fantasy literature, offering readers both escape and an allegory explanation of reality? Mythology also gives us the archetypes that persist in fantasy literature. Heroes like Hercules, mentors like Merlin, and monstrous guardians of sacred knowledge or treasure, like Ladon, the 100-headed dragon of Greek myth, the Norse Fafnir, or the Sphinx who posed riddles to Oedipus. During the medieval period, fantastic literature took a different form. Knightly legends and saintly tales, the Song of Roland, Tristan and Isolde, and the legend of the Holy Grail, are filled with miracles, monsters, and divine interventions. During this time, magical elements often carried moral significance. Heroes were tested by supernatural forces, and their choices revealed their character, much like Percival's trials in his quest for Holy Grail. Can we say that this is when the archetype of a classic fantasy hero was born? The chosen one, guided by a higher force, who must follow the path of destiny. Where medieval epics were honor and magic intertwined, the ancestors of today's stories about battle between good and evil. The Middle Ages did not view magic as an isolated element. It was part of the divine plan, or a means of a supernatural testing. Figures like Merlin or demonic beings from Arthurian legends mark the boundaries of what was permissible and what was punishable within the moral order. The 19th century revived interest in the mysterious and supernatural. After the Age of Enlightenment sought to subordinate the world to reason, Romanticism reintroduced magic into literature, but in a different form. Edgar Allan Poe, Mary Shelley, and Jonathan Wolfgang von Goethe infused their works with horror and uncanny, making ghosts, monsters, and curses symbols of human fears and desires. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein tells of a scientist who defies death by creating artificial life. Yet, his experiment leads to tragedy rather than triumph. Frankenstein monster, though supernatural, embodies loneliness, alienation, and the consequence of human arrogance. Likewise, Edgar Allan Poe's stories such as The Fall of the House of the Usher depict an atmosphere of creeping dread and inevitable doom. His protagonists often succumb to madness, and reality dissolves into fantasy and paranoia. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe in Faust employed the classic motif of a pact with devil, portraying Mephistopheles as a figure who tempts humans with knowledge and power, but ultimately leads them to ruin. Did Romanticism lay the foundation for modern dark fantasy? Was it here that literature first explored the dangers and consequences of magic? The 20th century introduced a unique blend of reality and magic, magical realism. In Latin American literature and in the works of authors like Mikhail Bulgakov, magic was used to reveal the hidden truths of everyday life in grotesque and surreal ways. Is contemporary fantasy merely entertainment, Or does it continue the long tradition of myths and stories about the search for the truth? Does magic still have the power to offer readers new perspective on reality? Or has it become just a tool for building fictional worlds and making money? Magic in literature has been with us since the beginning of storytelling, evolving in form and function, but always remaining a key element of narratives. From myths and knightly legends to romantic visions of the uncanny and modern sagas, fantastic elements in literature have always been more than just escapism. Often, they helped us better understand the world around us. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit that sub button and ring the bell. It keeps us going and brings you more stories filled with wonder and imagination. If you love fantasy, I invite you to explore our studio store at rpgfigures.com. We create unique, custom-designed miniatures for fantasy, D&D, and sci-fi fans. Every design is crafted with passion and made exclusively by us. And here's something special for our fellow dreamers. Use the code MAGICSTORIES for 20% off your order.